Hi team, welcome to the Escape Podcast for Star Wars The Old Republic. Coming up, new details on the Knights of the Fallen Empire from PAX Prime. But first, other SWTOR news and the fun stuff going on in our guild, Alea Iacta Est. Our astromech today is EPC 106, who I am now shoving into this escape pod so he can broadcast this episode. Oh look, the new companion influence rating for EPC 106 just went to -11. No surprise. With me as always is Seema. Hi Seema, how's it going?
Because that's one less than -10.
He goes to -11.
You can say every joke is better if you explain it.
Yeah.
I am doing very well. We're standing on McKeb right now because I came here. I'm trying to figure out. I'm missing a couple of things for those achievements for the staged weeklies here on McKeb, and we're going to touch on that in the news. But yeah, I've completed it on the imp side, but I still have a couple of holes in it on the pub side, so I'm trying to figure out which and where to start and all that. So I don't know, I might play with that after we finish the podcast, or I might wait till tomorrow. Also, I started a new book called The Fold by Peter Clines. I just started it today. And The Fold refers to a scientific discovery made that allows for instantaneous travel, short distances to start, but sort of like, so I see it as like referring to like a fold in space or something like that.
Yep.
And
yeah, I saw that book.
yeah,
I almost picked it up this weekend actually. I was looking for a new book on paper to have, and that's been on my list. So that's good. You'll have to read it and let me know if it's worth it.
Yep, because I just finished the Rook a few days ago, and now I'm starting on this, so that'd be cool. And yeah, that's pretty much it for me. Let's see, how are you going on the companion influence continuum?
I am working on getting the rest of all of my companions filled in and their stories completed, so I've got all those achievements checked off on both the Republican and the Imperial, which I don't have. I still have gaps. I never bothered, like Loken, I never finished his story. There's a few here and there, probably 2 classes on each side that have 2 or so companions that I need to continue to fill in. So I've been going through and, getting the gifts, doing all their affection, and then running through the stories and recording a lot of it too. So I don't know if we'll have a use for that at some point, but I've been recording those conversations. So we'll talk a little bit about that, but part of that is some more of my prep to get ready for Fallen Empires, because affection, or what we're now learning is going to be called influence, is still going to matter. But I think we can talk.
So they say.
Yes, so you say. Or will it?
Right.
But there's other stuff to talk about before we get to that.
Now, an Imperial News Network report.
Couple dev posts this week came up about third-party stuff going on and impacting your game client. So there's 2 pieces of software that people have been messing around with, one called Reshade and one called Unleashed, which do more cosmetic things to the client. Reshade will actually recolor parts of what you're seeing on your game screen when you're playing. They did make clear, even though there was some discussion going on in the forums, that it's still against terms of service to be using those types of third-party programs. Nobody's getting banned for it right now. It's pretty clear to them so far that at this point they aren't really causing those programs aren't really causing any problems. But they can't come out. I can see they can't really come out right out and say go ahead and use them or condone them, because they don't have control over them, for one, and for two, even though right now they aren't doing anything nefarious to the client or to the data stream or impacting gameplay, it doesn't mean they couldn't in the future. And C, if you do anything that does mess with the client in any way, specifically going even beyond what those programs do and modify your game files, it causes them problems from a support perspective. In fact, one of the most recent dev posts said there's been some homegrown tips for getting around some patching issues that are showing up in the forums that say, hey, here, just go modify your game files this way, XYZ. They made it clear, hey, you guys, you might not want to do that. If you do want to call support, and we do try to help you out, if that stuff is, if you start doing that, when you start downloading patches, you'll get corrupted data. There's no way we can get you to reset. You're going to have to reinstall completely. So just be careful with that kind of thing. And I don't think it's a big deal right now, but just something to keep an eye on.
Also, there was a post about the McKeb staged weeklies and what I was referring to earlier. And the achievements that go along with them will be removed in Knights of the Fallen Empire. And I think the deal is the whole sort of dailies thing is going to be redesigned. So this particular structure of the stage weeklies is going to go away. So if you want to get those achievements before Fallen Empire, which I do, now is the time to do it. Don't leave it for the last minute, because it's multiple weeks to do it. Because what you do is you start with a certain quest, and that makes other quests spawn. And so if you do the quests in different order, then different follow-on quests will spawn. So if you want to get to all those different follow-on quests, you can't do them all in 1 week. So if you want to get those achievements, and they're do them now. So that's what I was thinking of.
Yeah, I just assumed that I had them, and that's probably a bad assumption, so I'm going to have to check that out and make sure that I've got them, because there will be a reward once you get to October 27th and that stage weekly disappears. If you have done the achievements by then and gotten all the achievements for them, they're going to give you a McKeb gazebo, I think.
Yes,
decoration.
McKeb gazebo, yeah.
So.
I thought I had them too, and I do on the imp side, but I have a couple of holes left still on the pub side, and I guess I was doing it and then I lost momentum or something, because yeah.
So
anyway.
one tip from Easy Smoke is that you can do them on multiple characters if you're trying to get.
Oh, that's a good point. Yes.
Get more of the possible combinations done more quickly.
If you have multiple pub characters, for instance.
Yes.
That are, McKeb level, or multiple imp, because there's one set for imp side and one set for pub side.
And different achievements for both. Also, in the news, Knights of the Fallen Empire, they have put up an FAQ page about the expansion on the official site, and it is one of those. Sorry to realize I'm being mean. It's one of those rare cases that they actually put something useful on their website. No, it is quite a useful FAQ, and I do recommend just going out there and checking it out. You can find it on the main site. It runs through a bunch of things which are good to know about the Fallen Empire expansion if you haven't learned a lot about it yet. So check that out, and I'll put the link in the show notes. In guild news, our ops teams are continuing to crank along. Our SUP ops team, which is our Wednesday night Imperial ops team run by Arvachet, is going strong. So they are full up, and they're doing a good job week to week getting through the content that they're going after. Our Soldiers of Light Republic ops team, I think, still has an open slot, and as that team gets closer and things start shaking up, there might be even a couple open slots over the course of the next few weeks opening up. So check in with Sten for that team. Lords of Light, we are continuing to truck along as well. There's a little bit of disappointment you might recognize in my voice.
Yeah,
we did not get Brontes down this week. We made progress. We get to the burn phase.
Yeah.
We're just not
for lack of trying.
Yeah, we're consistent enough now that we can get to the burn phase every time relatively consistently. You can still wipe, just weird stuff can happen in the middle. But we get to that burn phase and we're not handling the balls I think well enough. We've got to up our game in ball handling to be able to get through that phase.
Just stop.
How about mandatory fun night?
Mandatory fun night this week. We're going to be on the imp side, and we're going to do something fun, I think. Some
Yes.
fun operation of some sort.
Fun will be had. You will have fun. This is a command.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll probably pick some operation. I don't know what it is yet, but that'll go on tomorrow night. And that brings us to some news that apparently it sort of ticked on by. I realized it on the day. So August 26th was the date of of when we published the first episode of the podcast. So
Lo, these mini podcasts ago.
yeah. One sec. All right. Sorry, my daughter had a question there. We'll edit that out. Live stream, YouTube, that's a little bonus you get. This week, it did almost go by, but I did realize it on the date. August 26th was the date of the first episode that we published of the SWTOR Escape podcast 2 years ago. August 25th was the Monday that we recorded it. August 26th was the date that we published it. So that ticked on by this week. And I realized also that we had an anonymous donor that probably about a month ago realized that episode 100 was coming up and our 2-year anniversary was coming up. And great guy, one of the guys in the guild, passed along a hypercrate and said, hey, why don't you guys, either use this yourselves, here's a gift, or use it on the show, or, just congrats on the 100 episodes in the 2 years. So to celebrate our 2-year anniversary, we certainly wanted to say thank you to everyone that's listened over the course of the 2 years. It's been really fun for us. Everybody that's joined the guild over these 2 years, and we've had a lot of people come in that have just heard the show and heard us say, come join us on Jedi Covenant. And to give back, we're going to do a drawing and give away 24 of those cartel packs. So if you're hearing this, you'll still have a couple days this week to shoot an email over. You can check the show notes for this show to see the email address that you can shoot that to. And everyone in the chat room has certainly entered this evening as well. So thanks everyone. It's really been a great time. And 2 years, boy, that's quite a bit of time, isn't it, Seema?
It seems to go by very quickly, though. I can't believe it's been 2 years.
I know, really. But I think, I don't see it slowing down. So here's to another couple years, as long as the game keeps progressing.
I'm drinking some champagne right now. How about you?
That would be great. I should have thought of that beforehand. So I'm not gonna stop the show again to go.
Well, I wish I had thought of that, but I was lying.
So everyone else can raise a glass and have a toast. But with that, I think we can talk about the actual fun news for this week, the PAX live stream.
Many Bothans died to bring us this information.
So why did I use that clip? I was saying in the pre-show that I made a hilarious tweet over the weekend that I don't think anyone...
I agree. Hilarious.
So I went and got a new book, the new Neil Stephenson, Seven Neves, however you pronounce it. In paper, I always like to have a book. I'm usually listening to a book on Audible all the time, but I like to have a book on paper. It's a very weighty book. It's like 800 pages. And I tweeted out, I got this huge book, a book of many pages. And then I said, many balsams died to bring us this information. So to make it extra funny, balsams are a kind of tree, and trees are used to make paper.
Yes.
So this week, the Escape Podcast 106 PAX live stream. The other subtitle that I was going to use for this show was Win Friends and Influence People. because we're winning companions, and influence is the new name for affection that we'll hear about this week that we heard out of the live stream.
I thought it was a good name.
That's also the title, again, to explain the joke and make it extra funny. The title of an old book. Ask your grandparents.
Yeah, right, exactly.
I figured no one would get it, so I did not use that as the show title. They did the PAX live stream. They didn't actually go to the show, even though they had planned on originally. They did do the live stream, though, in conjunction with the show. They did some of their general live stream PAX Cantina meetup things, including giving away some cartel coins in the stream. They also gave away a code for the PAX Prime version of the speeder that they keep giving away at these Cantina events. There is, if you look on any of the forums, or it's posted in a lot of places, Tate posted a link to the speeder code in the Twitch stream, and now it's shown up on a couple of the forums. That's unlimited. Everyone can use Tate's code, and it never runs out. Everyone can just use that code on their account, and they'll all get the speeder. You can also then get your own codes and pass those around too, but if you get Tate's code, it's good enough and everybody gets it. The bulk of what we wanted to hear about as they live streamed this week, though, was some extra news about companions and how they work. So that was what the focus of their live stream was. They showed off a couple clips. They showed off some gameplay. They showed off some Chapter 3 gameplay and some cutscenes. And then they answered questions about what's going on with companions, both in the live stream and in DevTracker in the official forums over the course of the past week. So that's what we'll start with, I think. So Simo, what were some of the highlights that you heard out of what you're hearing about companions? So, I mean, some of the stuff was things that we've heard about already, but they did give us a couple new things.
I mean, the audience for this live stream, and if you've been following stuff anyway, like a lot of people are, a lot of it was stuff that you'd heard before. But the two big things for me were the no stats, no gear for companions, and the fact that companions will be able to play all three roles.
Yeah.
So, and I like both of those things because they simplify life. I know someone had mentioned in the stream, and I know there's people who probably feel this way, that they've gone to the effort to gear up their companions, and now that effort is going to be worthless. But I don't know, you might have geared them up further, and now you won't have to. Right.
I think with the gear set that I was getting off of Ziost, on Yavin, doing the weekly on Yavin, and then getting the main hand offhand weapons from Yavin and Rishi, those Yavin and Rishi dailies, I had stopped bothering to do custom gear sets for my companions, at least. So I'm not sad that any work that I had done to gear them up is now obsolete. It doesn't really bother me very much. I wasn't doing extra work really, for one, and for two, I think that will be quite convenient, and I'm much happier about the convenience than I am about any sadness that any work that I did to put gear together is.
I mean, on all my characters, I was jealous of troopers being able to just give all their hand-me-downs to any companion they wanted to.
Right.
And now we all get to do that. I mean, now it's even more simple than that. We don't have to put gear on them at all.
Right.
So their stats and stuff are going to scale with our stats and level. We'll level, of course. And I think that'll work out well. And I like the idea of them being able to heal or tank or DPS for the same reason. I know some people are worried that it's like anti-roleplay or anti-lore because, why would Skadge throw you a heal? Or do you really want to see Lord Scourge saying, I got your back, or whatever he would say when he was healing you. But I also look at the other way around, where people that are forced to use a companion that they really, really dislike because that's the only healer that they have access to, or those classes where you get a healer but it's late in your leveling process. I think this will help smooth. I mean, and those are that doesn't increase your fun having to wait for your healer or having to run with a healer that you don't like. So I think it's a good change.
I agree. I completely agree. So I think the lore impact of having Skadge heal you or Scourge or Lord Scourge heal you, I don't see a problem with that. And maybe they contemptuously throw a Kotal pack your way. Hey, you idiot! What are y'all beat up for? Here's a bunch of shoot up some.
HK51 healing you.
Meatbag.
Yeah.
Interjection. You are leaking bodily fluids.
Yes.
So, yeah, he would totally do it.
Declaration. You are dying.
Yeah. Your weakness is quite apparent. So I don't have a problem with that at all, and I love the idea of them just being able to pick whatever companion I want and have them play whatever role I want them to play at the time. In fact, being able to switch back and forth, I think is a great idea. So I'll pick my favorite companion of the moment that I feel like bringing along to do whatever, and maybe I'll have them heal for a little bit, maybe I'll have them DPS for a little bit, or switch over and tank a little bit. I think that's awesome.
And when they showed on the stream, they revealed that Lana Beniko was going to be a companion. They showed her playing as a Marauder, but then also healing.
Yeah.
Without any respecking in between. But of course, maybe she's like some specialized companion that's just in the story and has a different skill set or something. We don't know.
She has a very special set of skills.
They said she was a full-blown companion, but I don't know what that means.
So we were speculating on what that would mean. And I think when they say she's a full-blown companion, they mean she's inflated all the way, and she's not partially inflated and droopy,
inflated fully, yeah.
And dragging on the ground. She's fully inflated. Yeah, I don't know what full-blown companion means either. I mean, I think they mean she's a companion.
Oh, go ahead.
I think they mean she's not just showing up in the story and helping you out a little bit like she did in the Ziost storyline. And
yeah.
So I think she actually becomes a companion is what they mean, because she wasn't before, even though she helped you out.
I still think they could mean that she's she's a companion that fights with you and acts like a companion, but she's still only in the story.
Well, that wouldn't be full blown then.
Mean that. I know.
That would be not full blown.
What do you mean by full blown?
That would be half blown.
Yes.
So, I hope that she's an actual companion with everything we expected that to mean, and I think that that's what they mean.
Yeah, I mean, so we can take her to Oricon and do dailies with her, and send her on crafting missions, and
yeah. I don't
send her off to sell your junk.
something phrasing. Yes, I think it was also interesting. We did get to see a couple other companions so they showed gameplay. They showed some of the cutscenes out of Chapter 3, and then at the very end they showed another cutscene that happens that was actually out of Chapter 1. So there's a little bit of spoilers in both of those. You do get to see, and so here we go. We're going to talk about what you saw in both of those clips. So if you don't want to hear those spoilers, then you'll want to skip ahead a little bit to probably 38 minutes into the stream when we say, thanks for listening. Please join AIE on Jedi Covenant. So we saw HK 55, I believe. I thought it was HK 57.
No, it's 55.
55. So is that HK 55?
That's what they referred to him in the stream as HK 55.
It was. They did say that. We see T7 shows up in the Chapter 3 cutscenes. So those. We saw Koth Vortena, who we were introduced to on the website and some of the other materials, who's hanging around at least in the cutscenes at this point. He's a character in the story. He was pretty cool. We're hoping. Did they say that whether he would be a companion or not? I think we're hoping he'll be a companion.
No.
I thought
they haven't said.
Yeah, I don't remember if they put him on one of the original lists of theirs, but he could end up being a companion or not. And then in the final video that they showed, the cutscene from Chapter 1, you do see, of the Jedi Knight's crew, you do see 3 of the companions in your ship, and they fly off. So you see Kira, Doc, and T7 hanging out in your ship at that point as part of what's going on in that Chapter 1 story. And it's apparent something big is going on, and, you know, again, a little bit spoilery. They said you're making a big choice, and they showed 2 choices. Your ship it detaches from the Imperial destroyer. I think it's Darth Mar's destroyer. You're in Immortal Empire. What is this called? Immortal Empire.
Something like that.
You're in their airspace. It's very apparent. You're in trouble. They break off, and you get a chance to tell them to either, you know, take off and escape back to Republic space, or stick around and defend the ship. And the developers then claimed that you were making some big choice by picking one of those 2. They didn't make it apparent that choosing either of those made anything different happen. So I'll take it at their word that choosing either of those does different things. But it did seem pretty apparent that they chose to tell them to escape back to Republic space. They zoom off, they hit hyperspace, you see them zoom away. You're then stuck on the ship. Yeah.
I noticed that Kira didn't take a lot of convincing. She's like, no, we weren't leaving you. He says, no, really, go. And she's like, all right.
Yeah. All right, good. Whew, dodged a bullet. I think that's the point, though, leading up to them having to take off. Your crew now has to take off. You're back stuck there with Darth Mar, who's talking to you over some sort of intercom and says, hey, you know, go meet me by the pod bay doors, or whatever he says. And now I think that's the separation. Now you're separated from your crew. The story is now going to progress. At some point, we all know you end up in Frozen in Carbonite. And then Lana comes in and frees you. We've seen that in some of the trailers already. So I think that illustrates where some of that split happens. But again, choices with impact, they're insisting that's what's going on there.
They're demonstrating it, yeah.
But
they're highlighting the choices, but they're only showing one choice. So far, the actual ramifications of a choice have not been highlighted, but
right.
I assume we'll get that.
Exactly. So those were the companions. Anything else we heard about companions that was interesting? Some of the Q&A with Eric Musco in the forums talked back and forth about a couple things. The crafting bonuses, the specific crafting bonuses, are going away off of companions. I thought that was interesting. And everything in a companion, since their gear doesn't matter anymore, their weapons don't matter, their crafting bonuses don't matter, everything is based on what they're now calling influence, which is a rewording of affection. And Eric explained that in a dev post this week as well. So they didn't explain it too much in the stream, but they did refer to influence a couple times. So then they came out and said, yeah, affection converts to influence. Influence is the new thing going forward. We had to re-term that variable as influence for a couple reasons, but it works sort of the same way. And everything that the companions do, their crafting bonus, their power in combat, scales either by their level or by influence. So those are 2 things to keep an eye on.
Right. A combination of those 2 things, I think.
Yep.
At least for combat effectiveness. And then for combat effectiveness, you also factor in presence.
And yes. So presence, we still get the presence bonus off of all of the achievements of unlocking companions and that kind of thing, correct? I don't think any of that
I'm
goes
assuming
away.
they haven't said we don't. Where else will we get it? I mean, you get a little bit from datacrons. You get some just from, your level. you can get it on gear, but that's not a popular stat to get on gear.
And even augments, I believe.
So I'm
and,
assuming that we'll still get the
stims.
points from the companion.
But I've never, I would not recommend gearing for presence. It's not really needed. But you could try it. That having presence, though, especially if you have a lot of characters and you've taken a lot of characters to end level, you'll realize it does make a relatively big difference, and your companions get stronger and stronger each new character you hit at max level. So
right, my new Togruta, level like 13, her presence, I have all the companions that Max finished off, and her early presence is like 532 or something like that. So yeah, it adds up.
Yep. Other things we saw in the stream, so they showed a bunch of cool gameplay. I did really like just the visuals of Lana as a Marauder with the 2 lightsabers. I even thrown out a heal here and there. I thought was pretty cool, but she looked pretty cool when she was fighting, and she was quite aggressive. I don't know if he had her set to aggressive or what, but she was jumping, well, she was a Marauder, right? She's
yeah, right.
leaping ahead, leaping right into the fray, drawing aggro, and doing a good job of it. She was kicking butt. So that was cool. They fought some Sky Troopers, and they said explicitly in the stream, which I didn't know ahead of time, the Sky Troopers are droids. Which
I like the look of the Sky Troopers.
Yeah, they're pretty cool. So they're the main droid army of the Immortal Empire. And then they also showed some Knights of Zakul, and the Knights of Zakul are actual Force users, non-Jedi, non-Sith Force users that are the special forces of the Immortal Empire. And those are the guys in the gold armor. So that's the gold armor that's on the cartel market currently for sale. That looks pretty cool. Do you have a set of that armor, Seema?
I do not.
So I know I've seen a couple people wearing it. I have also seen it on the GTN. I think I may pick myself up a set off the GTN.
Yeah,
it does look
Epilis
pretty
on
cool.
our in our guild, he has a set of it. Looks very spiffy.
It'll probably go for 2 or 3 million for a complete set off the GTN, but it may be worth it. And those guys, so they fight those. You do see a little bit of the light side, dark side choice type of thing going on, and you do see an increase in influence when you allow a dark side choice, and Lana seemed to get a kick out of that. So that's a hint and kind of things that influence Lana.
Yeah.
So I think she's getting more and more dark side. She never seemed all that dark side though.
No, no. She participated in saving the galaxy. It's not a very light side activity.
She's
I mean dark side activity, yeah.
Well, I don't know. I think saving the galaxy so you can you can rule over it can still be a Sith. It's not super dark,
yeah.
But it's quite Sith. So that certainly fits with that. And she's been more, I think she's probably more gray in general. She's not super dark side. She's not like a sadist and just likes to kill people randomly. She's more of the super efficiency Sith mindset where she just gets done what needs to get done and kicks butt when she needs to kick butt, and if she needs to cut a few throats to make progress, she doesn't mind doing that. So
apparently she was ready to do it on the live stream.
She did, didn't she?
Yeah, she did, yeah.
She did some, yeah, she finished him. Little finishing move on one of the Knights of Zakul there. We got to
That's
see.
true. I mean, they were saving the galaxy, but they were also saving their own interests, working in their own interests. So
yeah, exactly.
I can see that.
In fact, she stabbed.
FCOM points out in the chat room. So Darth Mario was doing the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. She does a little backstab move. A couple times she stabs Theron in the back. So
yeah, not really though.
Story.
I mean, she knew he would. She just didn't tell him what she was doing, but
yeah,
she didn't really feel like he was in danger.
Well, I mean, he did sort of get beat up pretty good. She didn't seem to mind that. She sort of threw him under the bus a little bit.
Hey, she's dark side.
And then there's that one little cutscene. I think it's maybe it's in between Rishi and Yavin, or it's between Yavin and Zyos. You're on the ship, and if you're on the Republic side, then it's Theron. They make some excuse to send the other one to the back of the ship.
Yeah.
I think we have a telegram. Why don't you go check the door? And Lana's like, okay,
Dark side.
I'll go check the door. And then Theron.
Land shark.
Yeah. Then the other one, both Theron and Lana, depending on which side you're on, they let the little, Sato voice, hey, why don't we screw over the other faction this way?
Right. That's true. They do. They both do.
Yeah. So that goes on. Let's see. We're also introduced to more directly to Valen. Is that her name?
Yes, Valen.
So she's the sister of the two twin bros, I believe.
Oh, I did not realize that.
I'm pretty sure.
She's definitely, I think, poised to be a pretty effective wild card. I love her so far. Just in the little glimpse we had of her.
Yeah, she seems pretty badass.
Yes. Like she's going to fight and she pulls out her lightsaber and she goes, "No, I don't need this."
Yeah. Yeah, and what does she do instead? She rips up half the decking and uses it as a shield from ship to ship gunnery, and and then she chucks it at the ship and almost takes down the
right.
The ship that you're supposed to be escaping in. Yeah, she was tough. I've seen a couple notes also. If you look close, you can see she's wearing a hood and a robe with a hood, and she has hair, which I think some people were amazed about.
Yeah.
That you could actually see hair underneath that hood.
This is why I don't wear hoods, because I don't want to be bald.
So she looks pretty cool. I can't wait to see more of her in the storyline. That should be good. They did clarify, they reiterated, they said this before, they're getting 9 chapters in October. That's at the launch. Pre-release and release is October 27th. We'll get all 9 chapters, and we'll be able to play that for a little while. They did say there will be a break in the content then until, basically it sounded like January. They didn't commit to January, but it sounded like January to me. I thought they were, in December, they were going to put out the next chapter. They gave a pretty weak reason for why they would wait till January. Basically, they said,
the way I remember it is it's always been in 2016.
Yeah,
when they were going to take it up again, yeah.
But will be a little bit of a break.
Waiting for the holidays is a week, yeah.
Right. So they'll wait till the holidays are over. I think they practically said, give you some time to play Battlefront.
Yeah. Right. Another EA game.
And watch the Force Awakens movie. They sort of said that explicitly as well. So then we'll get the rest of the chapters, 1 a month, starting in 2016, early 2016 sometimes. They did reiterate again, your choices matter. Blah, yada, yada, your choices matter. So just keep an eye out, because they're really going to matter.
Your choices matter. However, you're not going to lose any companions, even though we teased you about that before. We would never do that.
So, but they did clarify that a little bit. And here's what I heard, and maybe you heard something different. In the story, as you play out the story in the Eternal Empire, which companions you have available to play that story will be affected by the choices you make. So you may not be able to pull out, you know, Lana may get pissed off and leave, and then you don't get to use her in the rest of the story. Or she may stick around depending on what choices you have, and you can use her in the rest of the story.
Right.
However, they did say outside of the story, you want to go and do dailies in Section X, you'll be able to pull out whatever companions you want. And there's speculation on how they're going to arrange that, but you'll be able to go back and have a full suite of companions to be able to choose from.
Yes, that's exactly how I heard it. But when they were teasing about it earlier, they made people wonder whether they were going to actually lose some of their companions, and that's has caused a lot of stir and ruckus in the community. And
So I can still see losing companions from availability to play along the story with you, which is fine. But if I hope they don't do a thing where I hope they don't kill off a companion in the story, but for some reason you can still get the companion and go do
oh my
dailies with
gosh,
them. That
I
would
hope.
sort of suck.
Yeah. See, that's why I think maybe the full-blown Lana may not really exist outside of the story,
Hmm.
because having her exist outside of the story is sort of like saying, well, now she can never be killed.
Maybe, but then she's
So
half blown.
then you don't get that trauma.
That's what I'm saying.
What's that?
But then she's not full blown. So we will need
I
clarification
know that's
on
why.
that.
Yes, I don't think she will be full-blown. I think she'll be fractionally blown.
Yep. And then just a couple other things that we already knew. They did clarify that 5 years do pass when you are frozen in carbonite. They made that point. If you were watching the live stream, there was another pretty big spoiler that was announced. And I would, if you're really trying to avoid spoilers, I would not look at Delphi's notes for the live stream. And I would not look at, well, I heard it on the Twitch stream. They may have updated it since, and it was muted out of the YouTube stream for sure when I watched it again today. But there was a pretty big spoiler that gave away a pretty major plot point when you're fighting the Knights of Zakul in that stream, in that gameplay. So steer clear of that, and steer clear of Delphi's notes, because she's got it in bold in the middle of her notes for some reason, which is a huge major plot point spoiler. And she's got spoiler down below when she talks about Kira and T7 and Doc flying away in the cutscene, but she like dumps that thing out in the middle and just throws it out there. So steer clear of that. There was a sort of a big spoiler of something that happens. Anything else that you saw of what we've seen so far, Seema, just sort of to wrap up our impression of that stream?
Just, I really like the setting, the city.
Yeah, the planet of Zakul.
Right.
And you're right, they did mention that a little bit more about what that planet was like.
I don't know if you looked at it, but on the Knights of the Fallen Empire website, there's a little blurb about each of the players in the story. And the blurbs themselves really make me want to learn more about those characters. So I'm interested in learning. I'm feeling a little bit drawn into the story at this point, even though I'm skeptical about Lana being full blown. But yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to: the setting and the characters, and the what happens with them. I guess would be the story.
Yeah, they did. The one other thing I'll mention that I also liked the planet of Zakul. They said, oh, you're going to be visiting multiple different parts of the planet. There's sort of the upper city. There's the underbelly of the city. There's some swamps or some swampland on the surface of the planet. Yada yada. I thought that was cool. I'll be interested to see what those look like. They did also, though, mention that they are sort of giving you new abilities. We knew that was coming at level 65. And they reiterated the point that they will be giving you abilities. Their intent with the abilities that they're giving people is to make you a little bit more mobile in combat and to make combat a little bit more dynamic. I don't know how much that's going to be apparent. Maybe it'll just be minor additions to gameplay on how that works. But they stated that as a goal. They even said, you can expect that kind of those kind of combat changes to have an impact on PvP. It felt like they were alluding to a little bit more of an impact on PvP than they were even letting on about. But I'm not reading too much into that, and we certainly don't want to get anyone's hopes up that there's going to be much to serve PvP in the near term. But I am looking forward to level 65 and new abilities too. And we should hear more about that in the next couple weeks. So in the dev tracker, Eric did specify, and at the end of the stream he said they are sort of, he said opening the floodgates, but that's still quite a trickle of information. So maybe the riverbed was already dry and those floodgates weren't holding much back, to extend that metaphor.
Little tiny floodgates made of Legos.
But they said they're opening the floodgates, and over the next couple weeks, we're going to hear more and more and more and more. So there we go.
I'm anxious to hear about crafting. So
right,
I'd like to
more
hear about
details. That would be interesting. But with that, I think our EPC 106 here is ready to give me a little bit more negative influence as I eject him into space. Again, thanks to everyone for our last 2 years on the SWTOR Escape podcast. Thanks to everyone in the chat room, everyone who's joined us on the website, newoverlords.com, has posted comments there. All the new people that have been subscribing and following us either on Twitch or subscribing on YouTube. That's really fun to see. And certainly all the people that are subscribing and downloading off of iTunes. We will continue to stream again on Monday night at 10:30 p.m. Central on twitch.tv/newoverlords. And please follow us on Twitter at MaxTheGray and at AIESEMA. And certainly find us on Jedi Covenant and ask us for an AIE Guild invite. We would love to have you. And we will talk to you soon.
Later, guys.